Okay, today what we're going to be doing is fixing the longeron tubes. These pivot bolts for the rear pedals are actually flopping inside the longeron. The hole inside the longeron has become egg-shaped, which is allowing the main bolt that's going through to wobble. There's two things we can do. One is to over-drill the hole, put bushings, one on each side, a shelf bushing, or a flange bushing they call it. Or what I'm doing is putting a piece of stainless steel tube that the bolt will fit through, and I'm going to put it through the longeron, which will allow me to tighten the bolt up to the point where it can't squeeze the aluminum tube, so it'll actually be riding on the replacement tube that we're putting in. So the next thing we're going to do is take this apart and drill the holes and put in the replacement piece. Okay, well, the first thing we're doing is we're going to take this cotter pin out so that we can remove the bolt. Pull the pin. I'm going to remove the nut. And now we're going to pull the bolt out, and that should remove the whole complete pedal. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this is all kind of worn and egg-shaped. So what we're going to do is put a brand new hole in there. Okay, so now we're pulling the pedal mount out, which is nothing more than this big long bolt with a thrust washer here that goes in between the pedal and the longeron to give it a pivot point. And here's our bolt. We can see the bolt looks like it's worn, but it isn't. That's just discoloration from the aluminum tubing, which the steel sleeve will be going over that instead, so that's going to be covered anyway. The steel sleeve that we have is this little sleeve here that I've precision measured, so it's going to go inside of this tube through here, go out the other side, flush, and then the mounting bolt is going to snugly fit in through this, takes out any kind of play that the pedal is now going to have in the longeron. We are going to run a file down through here to make this so that it fits this particular bolt nice so that it will actually pivot. We don't really want the bolt to roll inside of this tubing, so having it tight is okay because the pedal is going to be pivoting here. These holes in the pedal where the bolt goes through, that's where the pivot should be. That should take the flop out of the pedal. All right, next thing we're going to do is drill the holes. Okay, we've got a drill that's the exact same size outside diameter as the steel tubing that we're putting through the hole. We're going to re-drill these holes. We're going to drill from this side. Okay. Alright, now we're going to insert this steel tubing. To do that, we're going to use the bolt as a guide. Alright, now I've taken a shorter bolt that we're going to use as a tapping point to tap this through. We can go from the inside or the outside, but it's easier to do it from the inside because then I can see out here to line it up as it's coming through. Okay, now you need to... Okay, we put our sleeve on our bolt. We're going to get it into the hole. And guide it through. You can see here in this hole it's not lined up. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this bolt, put it in here, and line it up so that as I tap it, it comes through. Right, now that is through, and it's flush on both sides. This side is out just a little bit, so what we're going to do is tap it back in, flush. And because that one's a little bit long, we're going to file the other side right down to the tube, because we don't want that walking. It's sticking through on this side, so what we're going to do is we're going to file this down. until it's flush with the tube, because we don't want this coming loose and walking back and forth inside the longeron. We want to be able to squeeze it right up nice and tight and flush on both sides so the pedal won't walk or work at all. Okay, now we filed off this tube so that it's actually flush with the inside of the longeron. You can feel it, which means we'll be able to tighten it up without actually touching this. But if we squeeze it enough, it'll keep it right up to the tubing without any additional play showing up over a period of time. So now we're going to reinsert our pivot bolt, thrust washer. We're going to remount through this tube. Install the nut. We're going to get our ratchets. Hold the nut on the inside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually torque the bolt up tight, and then we're going to back it off just enough till the pedal moves freely and at the same time lines up that hole. Because as it wears, we'll be able to tighten this up one little junction at a time on this castle nut. Now let's try it right there. There's a little bit of flop. So we're going to go to the next hole. And this actually won't take very long for it to settle in. That's the next hole right there. You want to turn so that your hole is straight up and down for your cotter pin. There we go. Oops, cotter pin's not lined up. Okay. Cotter pin goes down through, which, by the way, we're going to replace as soon as we get some stainless cotter pins, because you can see how rusty these are. But for now, this will hold it until we get down here the next time. And that's done. Okay, so now we can see that there's virtually no movement there. I can still pivot the pedal back and forth this way, but this way is taking all the flop out of this tube. Before it was quite loose. I could go back and forth up here about 1/4 of an inch, and now it's very, very tight. So that should take care of all the flop in that and keep this from wearing any further. So that repair is now done.